blues for you on a C harmonica. That's second position. My name is Ronnie Shellist. If this is the first time you're tuning into one of my videos, I want to introduce myself, let you know what I do. I teach harmonica full-time, and I'm also a full-time musician. I guess that makes me part-time teacher, part-time musician. I split my time in those two areas, and I spend pretty much every week, every day, on the internet, on Skype or FaceTime with students all around the world, working on harmonica and working on their skills and their goals. A lot of it is blues focused. So I've comprised this list today. This will be a longer video. And these are basically some of the most common things that come up when I work with students. So I just want to help you troubleshoot quickly, give you one or two things to chew on based on these topics on each one, instead of just trying to overload you with a whole bunch of content and things to think about on each one. Give you my top things. So the first one is controlling your breathing and getting good tone. There could be it's arguably the most important thing you need to figure out on the instrument is how to control your breathing. That's my opinion. The breathing influences your ability to keep good timing and rhythm. It influences the tone of that you get out of your instrument. It is heavily influencing your ability to easily get a technique or struggle for years with a technique, like bending. Yes, your airflow. It's not just tongue position for bending. So how can you work on it? Just keep in mind, I know everyone talks, or a lot of people talk about diaphragmatic breathing. I talk about it as well. I'll tell you this, all of my breathing sounds like this when I'm inhaling through the harmonica. I'm breathing in. It sounds like this deep guttural breath, which is exactly what that is from the diaphragm. Get your hand on your belly button. Make sure when you breathe in slowly, you can feel your stomach pushing out. That's how you know you're engaging it. Look for telltale signs like the shoulders moving when you're playing. All this kind of stuff is unnecessary. It means that you're engaging your chest more than you need to. So get your breathing regulated, even, and from way down in your diaphragm. You'll have a much more enjoyable time playing this instrument if you do that. Number two, consistently hitting accurate and clean notes. Well, that's arguably the second most important or first most important thing you could learn on the harmonica, because it's not just a rhythm instrument, it's a melodic instrument. You want to be able to play songs on it, so you want to hit these single notes or play riffs. But there's a lot of people that are very forgiving, I guess, of themselves in that manner. They don't really pay attention to whether those notes are super clean or not. Only time you should be getting a dirty note, which is two notes at once, a double stop, is if it's intentional. There are times when it sounds really good to play that. Awesome, play it. But surrounded by clean notes too. If the majority of your stuff is dirty and it's not intentional, then there's something really wrong with your playing. How do you work on getting a good, clean single note? As a pucker player, I would recommend a really distinct, tight embouchure in this pucker fashion. 3 blow. Stick it pretty far, the harmonica, into your lips. Don't play on the edge. You'll get that sound and wonder why you can't get a single note. So keep there's a little bit of tension that you create in this shape. Keep that shape, but push it into the pucker. And once you isolate one, don't adjust that. Try sliding around with the harmonica in your mouth. Play some simple scales. To challenge yourself, go a little bit faster. When you hit a speed where you trip up, go back to that speed before. So make sure you're getting clean single notes. It's extremely important. And if you don't know how to figure that out, whether you're getting them, start recording your practice sessions and you'll know right away. Putting licks into action can be really tough. You learn all these great blues licks by listening to your blues harmonica collection, your CDs that have great blues harp on it, or you take some lessons and you learn these riffs, but you're not able to get them coming out in your actual playing when it's time to play. They're not fitting right. You might have to my best advice to you is start with simple ideas first and work on fitting them into various types of styles of blues. These different grooves that you find on the jam tracks or prime way to work through this. Take a slow blues, take a standard shuffle, let's say, and maybe grab yourself something totally different, a swing, a rumba, something that's going to force you to change the way the phrasing lays out, the way in which we leave space between our notes to get this riff or phrase to sound appropriate. For the sake of time, it might be challenging for me to give you a bunch of examples here, but a riff that starts like, if it's a standard shuffle, and you're just going, on a slow blues, it might have to become, not only am I changing the tempo and slowing it down, but the spacing between the notes also changes. There's longer periods of rest between these notes. And on a swing, you might have to, not only speed it up, but adjust some of the timing. That's a longer conversation, but work with various jam tracks, smaller ideas, simple ideas at first. When to play and not to play. If you're unsure, don't play. In the beginning, maybe leave the vocals alone. Don't try to play while the singer is singing. That's a good tip to give you. And when you're going to work on taking a fill, which would be the parts where you're in between the vocal lines and you're trying to get a riff in there, just listen the first couple times first at how the singer is phrasing their lines so that you don't accidentally step on it, come in too early and they weren't done with their line, and now you've kind of like, it throws you for the whole song too if you step on somebody's vocals. So wait for that break and then come in a little later, and then maybe get out quicker so that you can hear when they come back in. And as you get really good at that, you can time it closer and closer to coming in right after the phrase is finished and right before the next one starts. Just build slowly to that with your fills. And when in doubt, again, don't play. It's okay to be silent. Just stand up there and groove to the music. All right. If you have no fresh ideas, you're stuck in this rut. There's two big things that come to mind. One is position playing. So maybe you're only using cross harmonica or second position, or you only dabble with the others like first and third. Get better at, comfortable at playing multiple positions, different scale work, so that you have other creative ways to express yourself in the same song. That's one great way to get out of a rut. Just improve your work on other positions, like first and third position, for example. The other thing is just starting your ideas on a different hole, on a different note choice. So if you're always starting on the 4 draw, it's probably often going to lead you to the same place. That's no good. So my recommendation is to start on notes, the ones I hear come up that are not being used in the beginning of phrases often enough, are bent notes first. Like 1 bend and 2 bend. Or 2 double. Or 3 draw. Or 6, even 6 you can get away with, it becomes more of a passing note. So there's ways to introduce your ideas with different starting notes, which will lead you to different places. And now you're saying something different. Even if they lead to the same place, you started in a different place, so it becomes a different idea. Other choice notes would be 1 blow, 2 blow, and 5 blow, often ignored as starting notes in cross. I like those note choices a lot. All right, so you get the idea. They become more passing notes, but they work really well. What happens when you just can't get a hold of your bending, especially the 3 draw? It's your nemesis. You stay away from the note. You're staying away from the most important note, by the way, arguably on the diatonic harmonica. There's 3 beautiful bends. So you want all those notes. You want to be able to use them. You don't want to be scared of the hole. Make friends with the 3 draw and all of the bends that are contained in that hole. My biggest tip for you, again, these are just top tips that come to mind, smaller movements of the tongue. Steady your airflow and make smaller movements in your tongue to get from a half to a full step. It's a little tiny movement. Most people make a big drastic change and go, and they wonder where are all the other notes. You got to learn to really barely manipulate and move the tongue. That's my top advice for you. The rest is just, you're going to have to put the time in. Maybe you just haven't learned how to move across that hole because you've been so scared of it. Maybe just 4 draw, 3 draw with a little bend on it, and 2 draw gets you there. And either the half step or the blue note on that 3 is always a nice note and cross. All right, so that's my top advice for getting around that 3 draw, and not getting around it, but working it to where it works with you. Holes 7 through 10 seem to be an area that a lot of players are avoiding. So if that resonates with you, let me just first say that often the reason you're avoiding those holes is because you don't like the sounds coming out of them. So how do you get a good sound out of the upper draw hole? Specifically, the draw notes can fight you or be squeaky. Sound like they're freezing. No note. There's the note. So make sure the tongue is relaxed and flat. Finesse these notes with just a little bit of air from the diaphragm. You don't need to murder the high end. It doesn't withstand the same amount of air pressure as the low end of the harmonica. The blow notes will, but not the draw notes. Take it easy up there. Find a simple riff or lick that you can work in. A modified juke-esque riff like this will teach you a lot about how to move around the high end and cross harp. You should ear train that. That's 6 moving its way up to 9 below the other root 1 octave above. Root note, that is, in the scale. All right, breathing. I wrote down breathing in-out patterns in second position. What I mean by that is just kind of like we were talking about earlier, using more bent notes in your playing. Substitute your blow notes for bent notes and see what happens. Blow notes are great in cross harp when they're intentional and they're used on the right chord or as a passing note sometimes on other chords. And what happens is a lot of players just get caught going hee-haw. This is just in-out. The box breathing, in, out, move over a hole, in, out. That's not serving you well. That's not bluesy. At least in the world of blues, we want to go. We want to put some bends in there and use more draw notes than not. Work on your bends. That's the biggest thing. Turning your brain off while you play. You have a hard time doing this. This is a common issue that comes up. You're thinking through the music as you play. How do you turn that off? One way is to work on your breathing and get your mind settled and relaxed. Just slow in and out breathing where you get some sort of basic breathing meditation going so that your mind can settle. And when you play, try to just stay in the moment. Focus all your energy on what you're doing right there. The note you're holding. Shape that. Let your energy and your mind just gravitate towards, the feel of what you're doing and shaping the sound rather than what am I going to play next? How am I playing what I'm currently playing? What can I do to make it super musical? It's the best advice I can give you. And the last thing is playing in a relaxed, confident manner. Well, that kind of goes with what we just said. You've got to get your mind settled. You got to get your breathing relaxed. And how do you build confidence? You become vulnerable. So this is my last big tip to you. If you're not out playing with other musicians and feeling vulnerable, you're probably not pushing yourself enough and you're not going to grow as quickly as you want, and you may not evolve in the way that you had hoped. Be vulnerable. Get out there and play. On that note, those are my tips for really the top 10 issues I see that come up all the time with students when I work with people. I want to make a quick announcement that the Global Blues Harmonica Summit is happening August 12th. You can read all about it in the video description by heading to the link. It will be an online webinar style event with David Barrett, Adam Gusso, Tomlin Leckie, and myself. We are going to be online hosting an all-day event centered around the topic improvisation. I'll be focused on grooves. So we'll be learning. And many other types of grooves and how you can manipulate them once you learn them and start to become more of a free player. So you've got these built-in things you've been working on and learning, but you're going to learn how to basically break that down and change what you're already working with naturally, organically, so that it comes out as part of your solo. These grooves are where your solos grow out of. So I'm going to get into that a whole bunch. If you have interest in learning about it, again, head to the website, sign up for this event now. And I can't wait to see you guys at the summit. Check out Harmonica 123 for your resource of harmonica, blues-focused harmonica education, downloadable material. And if you ever want to get together for a Skype session, all you got to do is head to Harmonica 123 and contact me through the contact page. Thanks for tuning in.